Okay. So I'll honor your guys' time, and we'll go ahead and get started here. So a couple things I did want to clarify from yesterday, um, or from just in general. Your assignment yesterday isn't due until Friday. It's due, all of the assignments from this week are due at once in one Google Doc in Google Classroom, due on Friday. I think I said by 4 p.m., maybe it was 3 p.m., 3 or 4, whatever it says in Google Classroom. So yesterday you did your notes. Right under your notes are going to be your homework problems. And then your notes from today are going to go directly underneath that. So if you're writing in a notebook or typing it in a Google Doc, get out wherever you left off yesterday. If you did not finish your assignment, leave space so that you can answer those questions. That's easier to do in a Google Doc, obviously, but then you'll start today's notes directly underneath that. If that doesn't make sense or you're confused, let me know so we can kind of make sure you're getting that done. So again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, it's going to be notes and then problems from the book. Thursday, we'll do some math notes as a class, and those will go directly under those. You may have to hand write those. It's harder to type the math. Some of this math you might be able to type, but say you're using a Google Doc for your notes and to type your answers, and then you work out the math problems on paper, you would just submit a picture and add it to the bottom of your Google Doc. So that'll be kind of the expectation. So hopefully that clarifies, because I had quite a few emails about that over yesterday. All right, so we are going to pick up on the notes. Okay, so section 1-2 is titled The Economy and Your Post-Secondary Education. You do not need to write these learning objectives down, but you should title the section. So again, the economy and your post-secondary education. So our objectives are to describe how the economy can affect prices and income, discuss the cost of and options for higher education and post-secondary training, and then we'll explain how to pay for college and other education programs. So understanding the state of the economy will help you make better financial decisions. If you're in economics right now, some of this probably looks familiar. This is about as far as we're going to go into it, this and I think the next slide. So the economy is all of the activities related to making and distributing goods and services in a geographic area or country. So again, all of the activities related to making and distributing goods and services in a geographic area or country. The market economy is an economy based on the laws of supply and demand, which determine the prices. Supply is the quantity of goods and services that producers are willing and able to provide. And demand is the willingness and ability of consumers to buy goods and services. So down here, it says, if you choose to work in a career field that is growing and a job in demand, then you will have a better chance of earning a good income. So to kind of follow up on that, I think it comes in a couple of slides, but if your job is growing, then chances are that company is growing and you're more likely to get a raise in those situations. Okay. So the economy affects your income. The economy goes through stages in the business cycle. So the business cycle is the alternating periods of growth and decline in the economy. So we'll reach a peak, we'll end up declining. So during that recession, we reach a trough, the very bottom, we recover with some growth potentially, and then we have another peak. And sometimes our peak might be lower than the previous peak or higher. And same thing with the trough. We might not go as low as we do in different situations or different recessions. So when we're going down, it's an economic contraction, and then going up is an economic expansion. So again, the business cycle is the alternating periods of growth and decline in the economy. And that was one of your options for your chapter 1 mini project that's due on Friday, is to kind of compare the different business cycles that we've been through. So again, this is, if you already wrote the red from 2 slides ago, it's pretty much the same thing. You might just kind of add to it, but it's what I was saying. If the economy and your career field are growing, you will be likely be able to earn a good income and receive pay raises and bonuses. Again, if your career field was declining, the chances of you being able to get a raise are going to be much lower there. So if you're not sure what you want to do, you might want to look into kind of predictions of career fields that will be growing and see if anything interests you. So what are the costs of education? Beyond high school, education can be really expensive. So there's your tuition, which is the expense paid by students for the instruction at a school.
Is this on now?
Housing is another cost of education. If you are, I know quite a few of you, I want to say close to half between my 2 finance classes, were thinking of a junior college, and you might be able to live at home, and housing is not an expense then. Books and supplies are another expense, as well as fees, and then living expenses, food, clothing, transportation. Again, if you're at home, maybe your parents are still going to buy your food. Maybe they're going to pay for your car. Clothing isn't something that you obviously need to get on a regular basis, but it's just kind of another living expense that isn't always considered. And then college costs vary by type of college and the region. So 2-year school is going to be these junior colleges. You can see in the West, it's about almost $2,400, where a 4-year school is almost $21,000, just rounding there for you. And again, West based on this map here, you can see where it is. We know that California tends to be on the higher end of those things. You can see New England is going to be the more pricier area. But again, it really just depends on what state and what school. Keep that in mind. I know there were a handful of you based on your vision boards that were talking about going out of state for college. So it may be something you've already looked into. So your options for continuing your education, you can get your bachelor's degree at a 4-year college or university. You can get your associate's degree at a 2-year community college, which then you could take and get your bachelor's degree. Career and technical skills, those are going to be, again, based on exactly what you want to do. You're not going to get the general education classes that you need for your associate's and bachelor's degree, and they're typically a lot shorter of schools. Military, you have to be trained and educated in whatever you want to do. And then apprenticeships, remember, are basically you get the job and they're going to teach you how to do the job while you're there, like on the job training. So, and then how will you pay for your education and training? So if you are choosing to continue college after high school, you're gonna have to pay for it somehow. So financial aid is the money you receive from an outside source to help pay for education. Where that period is, that is the end of the definition of financial aid. So again, money you receive from an outside source to help pay for education. So financial aid can come from the federal government, the state, and local banks. From the federal government, it's going to be through the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. Basically, if you're going to college, you need to apply for the FAFSA. That'll determine, so it says it's the key that unlocks many of your financial aid options. It's going to determine what the government thinks, they may be wrong, your family can contribute and how much you should get in federal funding via either loans or grants or scholarships. All of that is going to be determined by your FAFSA. So notice here there are 2 8-minute videos. When we're done and we only have one more slide, I want you to go pick one of these 8-minute videos and watch it. You can either watch one on a financial aid overview or one on an overview of FAFSA. And if you're very unfamiliar, maybe you want to look at the FAFSA one, but you'll just pick one of those and then we'll come back and discuss it probably either tomorrow or Thursday, depending on how much time we have tomorrow. And then so kind of breaking down the financial aid, the different types. There are student loans, which can either be subsidized or unsubsidized. If you're going to get loans, you would prefer, but be better off to get subsidized student loans. That's a loan in which the student pays no interest until he or she has graduated or is no longer in school. And then once you do graduate or drop out, which hopefully isn't the case, you get a grace period, usually 6 months to a year before you have to start paying that back. Whereas an unsubsidized student loan is a loan that starts charging interest from the time the loan is made. So say you end up your freshman year in college needing to take out a loan for $5,000. If you take out a subsidized student loan, when you graduate in 4 years, you still only owe $5,000. If you take out an unsubsidized student loan, of course, depending on your interest rate, say you took out that same $5,000, but it was unsubsidized, by the time you graduate, you could now owe $5,500. So you're being charged while you're still in school. Gift aid includes grants and scholarships, and that's money that you do not have to pay back. The exception to this could be if you drop out in the middle of a semester, you may have to pay that money back. So grants, again, those are going to be determined by your FAFSA. That's going to be money from the government that they say, okay, we think you need this much money in order to be able to afford to go to school. Scholarships, we know, come in all different sizes for all different reasons, which is a cash allowance awarded to a student to help pay for education. Some scholarships, they may send them to you directly, and some may be sent to your school to help cover those upfront costs of tuition, possibly housing if you're living on campus. And then there's things such as a work-study program, which is money earned by you while you're in school. So it would be typically your jobs on campus while you're in school to help you pay for school. So just kind of something I want to point out here, and it's my personal opinion, and other people and parents and teachers may have different opinions. If you want to go to college, I don't think you should let money stop you. Yes, student loans suck and they can be scary. I had them. I was in student debt for a lot of years after college, but I also think it was worth it. If it's something you know you want to do, then personally, I don't think the money should stop you. If you're unsure and don't know if you'd follow through, then yeah, that's a different case. And if you have kind of questions, I'd be more than happy to kind of talk to you about my experiences and my thoughts. And I'm sure your counselor and or the College and Career Readiness Center would be willing to talk to you more. But again, I think if you're not sure, then yeah, it's something to think about. But if you know it's something you want to do and your family really isn't able to help you, then student loans are an option that I don't think you should throw school away because of.